Josh Rogan and Mark Dubowitz are back with me. I mean, let's hope that they're not sharing, Mark. I mean, why would the administration trust that they would not be?
So I don't know how you say BS in Russian, but BS. And I think this is where Josh and I are probably going to wholeheartedly agree on this. I mean, the Russians are absolutely helping the Iranians. They provided intel to try to kill American soldiers. The Iranians have been providing Shahed drones and missiles to Putin to kill Ukrainians. So this is a very strong military, economic, and political partnership. And I think the administration is either being mendacious or delusional about Vladimir Putin. And the other thing that we haven't done is the Ukrainians, who are our model ally, have been fighting and dying against one of our most formidable enemies, have offered for many, many months to help us defeat Iranian Shahed drones because they have a lot of experience with it. Finally, they're in Washington presenting their anti-drone plans, and finally we're adopting them. But these should have been adopted months ago. And unfortunately, the people on the right side of the aisle who have been demeaning when it comes to Ukraine's ability to help the United States, and I'm critical of that wholeheartedly.
You know, there was a briefing on the Hill, as you both know. Senator Richard Blumenthal says the United States appears to be on a path to have to deploy ground troops in Iran. And the Wall Street Journal editorial board, argues that if a ground mission is the only way to truly end the threat, then it's worth it. Quote, the only option more dangerous is to do nothing, leaving it for the regime to enrich uranium behind a shield again. Is that sound rationale?
No, that's a complete straw man. It's a false choice, right? I mean, no one's saying do nothing, and sending U.S. troops, men and women, on the ground in Iran seems crazy risky and crazy reckless. And there are a lot of things in between, obviously.
For example?
Well, how about negotiating? How about adding pressure on sanctions? How about using any of the tools of American power that don't involve sending American men and women into a crazy, risky situation in the middle of a war that is being fought without a clear justification, a clear objective, a clear end goal, or a clear plan for the day after? And you know, the fact that we have people in charge of our policy like Steve Witkoff, who doesn't understand or doesn't want to admit that the Russians are lying, right? He's the negotiator with the Russians. He doesn't understand the Russians are lying. He's the negotiator with the Iranians. He doesn't have a detailed understanding of Iranian interests and Iranian negotiation and the history of that. And you drop these real estate guys into these negotiations, and then you wonder why the negotiations don't work. Well, it's pretty obvious. We've got a lack of focus on diplomacy, a lack of focus on dealing with our allies, dealing with our partners. That's why the Gulf countries are so upset with how we're dealing with this. That's why the European countries are so upset with how we're dealing with this. Now, you can say, I don't care about any of that and screw all of them. But the fact is that if we want to wage a sustained campaign to fight Iran, it would be nice to do it with some allies on board. But the way that this administration goes about diplomacy is they shoot first and ask questions later.
Well, Mark,
and
let me ask you.
This has imperiled our strategy and made this much, much more difficult than it otherwise has to be. And until there's some sort of realization that not only is this unpopular with foreign leaders in foreign countries, but with Americans. If you look at the polling, Laura, you'll see that about 50%, a little bit more than 50% of Americans oppose this war in Iran, okay?
Well, hold on.
But when it comes to ground troops, it goes to three-quarters right away.
I want to talk about the troops, because that's extremely important, not just theoretically talking about them. And the Pentagon announced at least 140 U.S. troops have sustained injuries so far in this war, 8 severely wounded, and we know there's already been casualties as well. The polls, the idea of the allies and the different issues there. But if boots are put on the ground, will Americans be okay with the growing toll?
So look, 85-90% of Republicans support the president, and his MAGA base supports the president. So if the president cares about his base, then right now he's got the wind at his back, obviously.
There is some fractions.
I would look at the Quinnipiac.
Well, just hang on a sec. Let me talk for a sec. I think the way the president assesses that is, I've got my base, I've got the Republican Party, Democrats will never be with me on anything. I think he assesses it that way. Second is, I think on the ally side, I think Josh is right. It would be good to build this coalition earlier, but the president wanted the element of surprise. And that was very useful in taking out Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader. So you don't start briefing all your allies because they start leaking. He actually is picking up allies. I'm in conversations with our Gulf allies every single day. And right now they are furious with the Iranians, and they are supporting us. And we are supporting them with air defenses.
Will they do it with their troop members as well?
Well, I don't want to get into confidential conversations about their offensive military contributions, but certainly economically, the Emiratis have frozen all Iranian funds in Dubai. We've been trying for years to get them to do that. They finally did that. The Qataris, the Omanis, the Kuwaitis, obviously the Saudis, they are furious with the Iranians. We're also getting significant support from the Europeans, from the Australians, from the Canadians, from the Japanese. I mean, countries that are understanding very well that they may be upset with President Trump, they may not like the tariff wars and all the other things the president does unilaterally, but they understand the Islamic Republic of Iran is a significant threat, and they understand that they've been killing and maiming not just thousands of Americans over the years, but Europeans and Latin Americans and Middle Easterners. So they understand how dangerous an enemy the Islamic Republic is, and they want us to confront it and deal with it, and yes, wrap this up as quickly as we can.
Well, the latter is perhaps the most important aspect for the American voters who our president answers to, as opposed to the allies, but we'll see. Thank you both so much.
Thanks very much.
Still ahead.